Welcome everyone to the second workshop of the RMIT Business Plan Competition. My name is Yum. It is my honor to be your MC for today's event. The RMIT Business Plan Competition, or RBBC in short, is a competition hosted by the Business School in co-organization with RMIT Vietnam FinTech Club. RBBC is a business playground for high school and university students nationwide to test their business acumen, to explore their passion and creativity, and to prove themselves and their abilities. With the theme, Be Next, Embracing Digital Innovation, Building Sustainable Futures, RBBC seeks innovative ideas across the nation that tackles real-world problems with technologically advanced and sustainable solutions. Today's workshop will explore perspectives and industry insights in the three remaining sub-themes for the competition, which are change the way we move and revolutionize e-mobility in Vietnam, innovating sustainability in tourism and hospitality, financial innovation through fintech, blockchain, and AI. That's it. The workshop is accompanied by a panel of speakers from different backgrounds, of different positions in different organizations and fields. It is my pleasure to welcome to you the organizing team of the competition. From RMIT Vietnam, the Business School, Dr. Defmali Perara, Lecturer of Finance from RMIT Vietnam. Dr. Dan Fowler, Lecturer of Management, RMIT Vietnam. Dr. Daisy, Lecturer of Tourism and Hospitality from RMIT Vietnam. And to our distinguished industry guest speakers today, Mr. Abhishek Sinha, Delivery Partner Manager of Joyride. Ms. Thanh Le, founder of Hung Dong San. And finally, Mr. Hieu Dinh, co-founder and CEO of Neoa.io. Today's workshop contains 3 sessions. The first workshop session is the future of mobility, delivered by Mr. Abhishek Sinha. The second session is innovating sustainability in tourism and hospitality, in which will be delivered by Ms. Thanh Le, founder of Hung Dong San. And finally, the third session is financial innovation through fintech, blockchain, and AI, which will be delivered by Mr. Hieu Dinh, co-founder and CEO of Neoa.io. But before the workshop sessions begin, I would like to invite Dr. Defmali Perara, Lecturer of Finance, to present about the overview of the competition and key dates and timeline. Please welcome Dr. Defmali.
Thanks, Ying. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the second workshop of our RMIT Business Plan Competition 2023. And first of all, I warmly welcome again our invited guest speakers for today's session, Mr. Abhishek Sinha, Ms. Thanh Le, and Mr. Hieu Dinh. As well as I warmly welcome our students, our audience, our academic staff members, and the organizing committee of the competition. As Jung already mentioned, this year we are organizing this competition with a broader scope, and we provide 5 focus areas for the students to participate in. In this competition, we challenge you to find solutions to some of the world's most pressing problems in the real world, and you are required to provide some innovative solutions using technology to achieve a sustainable future. Now, let me take a few minutes to provide you an overview of the competition. Can we please move to the next slide? Thanks. So this is the overview of the competition. So what we are going to do in this competition is we already launched the competition and opened the registration starting from 6th of August. And then we started having the first workshop yesterday. We had our opening ceremony yesterday. Today is our second workshop related to the competition. And in the first round, students and the teams are required to submit a written report, and the deadline for submission would be 17th September. After that, we will go through your reports and we will select semi-finalists. We make the announcement on 10th October regarding the semi-finalists. Those who are selected for the semi-final round, they have to prepare a 2 minutes video and then submit the 2 minutes video on 8th of October. Based on your video, we are going to select 5 teams who would be proceeding into the final session. Finalists will be announced on 18th October. And after that, for those final 5 teams, we are going to provide an industry mentor. You're going to closely work with an industry mentor to develop your proposal further. For those finalist teams, we are going to provide an additional workshop on 22nd of October. That is mainly to improve your presentation skills and to learn more about how to pitch your business idea. The grand finale will be held on 5th November, and that is where you're going to do your presentation in front of a panel of judges. Next slide, please. Okay, so as I mentioned already, we have 5 big areas of focus in this semester or in this particular competition in 2023. Can we move to the next slide? So the first area is sustainable marketing solutions for financial empowerment. And the second one is about innovating sustainability in tourism and hospitality. Third, we have financial innovation through fintech, blockchain, and AI, that is artificial intelligence. We have supporting sustainability with disruptive technologies. And our last area of focus is change the way we move and revolutionize e-mobility in Vietnam. So as students who are willing to participate in this competition, you can select in which category you want to participate, and then you can design your proposal to each of the categories, to the selected category, and then you are required to submit your presentations and the report. In the preliminary round, you are required to write a report or a white paper. All the requirements about the white paper and the guidelines about the white paper and the report is already available in our website. On 17th of September, you are required to submit your proposal to our RBPC email address. Please keep an eye on our fan page and on our website. We will be posting more information as well. Next slide, please. So this is the proposed checklist for your business plan. This is not the finalized version in the sense like we provide you a sketch. This is the minimum that we expect to have. So you can have some flexibility if you want. But on your first cover page, you need to clearly mention your name of the team. You can propose a fancy name for your team that is related to your area. And you are required to inform all the details of the team members, name of the project. And in the business plan, you need to provide an introduction to the business plan. What is your key problem that you're going to analyze? And then come up with the objectives and goals for your project. Propose a solution. And finally, it is important to highlight your contribution and the social impact of your project. And then you need to include a conclusion which wrap up your business plan. If you refer to any additional resources, you are required to add a reference list and then provide appendices and supplementary materials if required. Next slide, please. In the semi-final round, those who are selected for the semi-final rounds, you are required to prepare a no more than 2 minutes video. We have a guideline for the videos on the website as well. And based on that video, we are going to select 5 teams who will be proceeding into the final round. Next one, please. So here's about the grand finale. So we are going to have our grand finale on 5th of November. And the finalist teams, 5 finalist teams, will be presenting their presentations on this particular day in front of a leading panel of judges. We include academics as well as industry experts in our panel of judges. You can see all the information in our website. And these are the criteria that we are going to use for judging your final presentation. We will be looking at your problem-solving approach, how innovative your idea is, feasibility and the viability of your business proposal, originality of your concept and the business idea, and what is the impact onto the social and environmental aspects, and whether you have been able to do a good teamwork. And finally, we will grade you based on your overall presentation as well. So that's all about the competition. And thank you again for attending the workshop today. And we are looking forward to receive your innovative business proposal and wish you all have a productive session today with our industry experts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Defmally, for your brief overview of the RMIT Business Plan Competition. And now, moving on to the moment everyone has been waiting for, the workshop sessions for RBBC. The following workshop session, The Future of Mobility, will be presented by Mr. Abhishek Sinha, Delivery Partner Manager of Joyride. Mr. Abhishek is a skilled professional with extensive experiences in the EV, solar, prosthetics, and education industries. He has worked extensively in the startup ecosystem in ASEAN with founders on expanding into new markets and introducing new products for new business cases. His previous experiences with e-mobility includes working with German, Irish, and Indian manufacturers for B2B and B2C models, combined with recent experiences in micro-mobility, software as a service industry, empowering fleet operators for sharing businesses. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Abi onto the spotlight to deliver your presentation. May you now share your screen.
Thank you, Zoom. It is so exciting to be here. Well, let's start with a fun story, shall we? You know how I came to Vietnam? I got stuck here in March of 2020 during COVID. I was working with a German electric cargo bike manufacturer, and we were talking to a potential customer in Vietnam. The goal was to produce these bikes in Vietnam for the Vietnamese market and also potentially export it to the rest of the world, to Europe, Singapore, Japan. And this marks my entry into the world of electric vehicles and last mile logistics. A little bit of background about me. I am Abi. I'm from India. I'm an electronics engineer. I did my master's in Singapore Management University, jumped into electric vehicles, came to Vietnam, and in 2021, I got the chance to do my Masters of Global Trade at RMIT. So it's always good to be back with RMIT events in the student community. In today's talk, I want to guide you about the rise of electric vehicles around the world. I'm going to be answering the questions of why, how, and why now have the electric vehicles taken over in the world, right? So going back to 2020, while the COVID cases were increasing, lockdowns were being imposed all over the world, there was a subtle trend on the rise here. If you can spot it right here, you can see the number of electric bikes have been 9 million electric bikes have been sold. And this is Europe alone, right? Governments, consultancies, news channels, customers, everybody was on this trend. It was being called the future of mobility. I love this particular headlines, which says, forget electric cars. Electric bikes are the future of mobility. Just to give you an overview, the market size of electric bikes, which I mean is electric bicycles, right? Very particularly, are set to double by 2027 all over the world. So what really happened here? Why has this increased? What was causing this? Remember, it was still COVID, so taking public transport, going to a bus with 30 strangers, going to a metro station was unsafe. You could get the virus. Lockdowns were being imposed. People don't want to be stuck in their houses. They want to go out. They want something for recreation, something for exercise. And lastly, it was a very cool technology. It is sustainable. The designs were really nice. The form factors were really cool. It was a smooth bicycle ride, which attributed to the rise of EVs. But what really happened here? From a business perspective, bicycles have been invented in the 1800s. So suddenly they became really cool and hip. In business model, what you call is something super important is the customer segment or the customer persona. So what really happened was, if you see the image on the left, this was the traditional customer persona of a bicycle company. An athlete, you have to go long distances, you have to be extremely fit, and you have very specific bicycles out for you. Super expensive, not much accessible. And today, if you flip the paradigm, the electric bike companies were targeting normal commuters like you and me, who go to office every day, who go to their school every day, who want an e-bike just to go to their gym, right? And if I could invest $2,000, I could look this cool. This was the marketing message behind this. But in the background, how did this technology really rise? For a novel technology to become mass adopted, there have to be other innovation enablers to make it happen. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures. I'm going to start with 3 points here. And I'm going to show you a couple of pictures, and you tell me what is common in between both of them. So picture number 1 and picture number 2. So please please put it in your text box, in your chat box. What is common between these 2 pictures? Gonna see this. The first image is in Mexico City, all across the world. And the second image is in New Delhi, India. And the common factor here is that, of course, I'm really tall, but the bikes are really small. And a small bike equals to cheaper manufacturing costs. And in a small bike is also a smaller battery. So the battery is the key here. Smaller battery is cheaper. And as you can see, the graph behind here, the cost of the lithium-ion battery has dropped drastically, making it super affordable. And at the same time, the energy density has tripled. So in a small form, you can have a very massively packed battery, making longer range vehicles happen. Right? Point number 2. Again, cycles have been around from the 1800s. But with the invent of technologies like Bluetooth, 3G, 4G, smartphones, we can now convert the electric bikes, which is a dumb asset, into a smart vehicle. What I mean by a smart vehicle is you can connect your bicycle to the internet and you can control it through your phone. This is specifically useful for preventing theft. It is easier to steal an electric bike than a car. So, how can you control the location of your electric bike? Through a mobile app. And the third point, which are called ownership models, are shifting with the rise of Gen Z and the subscription age that we live in. Today, traditionally, how would you purchase an asset? You go to a shop and you give them 5 million dong and you buy a smartphone and you come back home. And this is my phone, 5 million dong, this is me. This is my responsibility. I will take care of it. If any damage, I will be responsible for this, right? But that is not the case with e-bikes now. Business models here are completely shifting. I don't have to take care of it. And especially if an electric bike is $2,000, I need to make it affordable for my customers. So to give you an example here is, this electric bike is for $2,000, or I guess $2,500, but is now available to a consumer at $73 per month right here. So it makes it super affordable and you can return it after 1 month. Try it, test it. If you like it, take it back. It's just like the Netflix. It's just like Netflix. And this is something I guess you would be more familiar with, but you've seen these blue bikes all over Saigon. They're very simple to use. Open your app, scan the QR code, unlock the bike, and ride it around District 1 for 5,000 dong for 5 minutes. It's very easy, cheap, and return it back. You don't have to take care of it. You don't have to maintain it, and it can be used by anyone else. Correct? Just to summarize again, what has happened here is lower battery costs, smarter vehicles to the internet, and a shift in ownership patterns. So what happens now? How can we reimagine the mobility in our cities? That is what we're here to discuss. But before we begin reimagining the mobility in our cities, we need to understand what is mobility in our cities. Two broad groups of mobility in our cities are people mobility. How do people in cities move? How do they go to work? How do they go to the market? How do they go to the hospitals? How do they go to school? And how does cargo move in our cities? From the ship to the port, to the warehouse, to the final customer's house or office, right? Just to give you some business models and applications here. This is not an exhaustive list. Just to give you some examples right here is, how do you move within corporate campuses? How do you move within universities? How do students move in there? How do tourists interact with Vietnamese cities in Saigon, in Hanoi, right? How do people go to their work? How do people go about adventure? And on the other side is, how does food get delivered to you? And just to compare, the chain of delivery for food and heavy goods like washing machines, refrigerators is not the same. It's different vehicles. You need a van for washing machines and you need a bike for food delivery. So these are some particular factors that you have to consider in the mobility of our cities, right? Just to share some data out there with you. This is a graph in the US. On the x-axis, you have the distance, and on the y-axis, you have the number of car trips. What you would see is the number of car trips in the US, 60% of them are concentrated here, below 6 miles. It is very similar for almost all cities across the world. We do not need to move very long distances. Thus, we can use smaller vehicles, which is bikes, to replace these trips, right? So this is idea one to you guys. Idea number two is as well, two of all genders, men and women, move differently. Typically, and not to stereotype here, men go from home to office, to the gym, back home. But women do not move similarly. Women, of course, make that trip from home to office, but they come back and they stop for vegetables. They run errands, groceries, childcare, buying a toy for your child, coming back home, right? So men and women move differently. Just an idea, I haven't seen the perfect electric bike for women out there. So that would be some good ideas for you guys. This graph looks slightly complicated, but follow me. The market size, what it outlines here is, for electric bikes, is ASEAN has the biggest market size after China, right? But the lowest electrification level compared to all other countries. So this represents a huge market opportunity for us to reimagine and reshape the mobility in our cities. That is the end of my presentation. And the one important question that I want to leave it at is, how will you reimagine the mobility in our cities starting tomorrow? Thank you. I'm just going to show these slides here so that students can see this again. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Abi, for your fantastic delivery. But now we're going to move on to the Q&A session. This part will be facilitated by Dr. Dan Fuller, Lecturer of Management, RMIT Vietnam. May Dr. Dan begin the Q&A session.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Abby, for your very interesting talk on e-mobility. Just while we're waiting for maybe a few more questions, I have one from myself. You talked about changes in ownership, right? And changes in ownership patterns. How do you feel that this will facilitate higher adoption of, e-vehicles?
Right. So something super interesting here is all across the world, electric bikes, electric mopeds are expensive, right? And just to give you an example of a Grab driver, what incentive does a Grab driver have to change to an electric bike for $2,000, right? He is out there to save money, deliver food, and save all that for his family, right? But if we make that electric bike more adoptable for him by offering it on a rental subscription, hi, what if you pay $50 per month, $1 million per month, 900,000, you can do it. And this is where the innovation and business model comes. If you can make it cheaper for people to adopt this technology, they will. They're already convinced of the value of electric vehicles. Electric vehicle helps you save costs, fuel costs, right? And it is lower maintenance, but it is still out of reach. So then here comes, how can I deploy fintech? How can I deploy subscriptions safely to make sure that my customers, like the Grab driver or students, are adopting e-bikes faster?
Okay, so basically the Grab driver is going to save money on fuel, and that's going to offset the cost of renting a bike, for example. Okay, exactly. Nice. I think we have a question from the audience. Dear Mr. Abbey, what are the obstacles in the adoption of e-mobility in Vietnam? Could you please provide any recommendations to overcome these challenges?
This is a great question. Thanks for asking. If you want to understand the e-mobility ecosystem here you've got to start from manufacturing, R&D, right? Technology, Vietnam's got it. That I think we are convinced, right? But somewhere where currently what is happening in the world is China is leading electric mobility all across the world. So, and across all supply chains, battery, design, affordability, and they're supplying to the world. And that is because they have superior R&D. So what others are doing is, other countries are still adopting that R&D. They need to have that knowledge, that expertise in batteries, in the frame, in the motors, in the components of the e-bikes. And that is where Vietnam, I feel, being a very manufacturing centric country, Vietnam has a good lead in that. So number one would be is to start getting the R&D here. There are a couple of startups that are doing this, That Bike, Selects Motors, T&Go in Ho Chi Minh, so they're making their manufacturing, and they have been working behind the scenes for the last 3-4 years, and it is completely R&D dominated. So number one, R&D. Number two could also be is trade. How could we use our trade policies to increase the exchange between countries, right? So open a market with Germany, open a market with USA, right? So that would be very interesting. And number three is also government policies which have been announced last year to, especially in Hanoi, to deploy electric bikes all over, reducing pollution. So government policies are there. And lastly, a startup. What a startup can do, a business model today, what a student can do is kind of spend on education. You've got to educate your customer, be it a business customer, delivery customer, or be it a consumer, right? Why should I switch to electric bikes? How can I offer you better servicing, better maintenance? So those are some aspects of it, integrated with technology, and then you can overcome those challenges.
Thank you, Abby. Yeah. We have some more questions here. Do you think the infrastructure in Vietnam is enough to transition to the widespread adoption of electric mobility?
Absolutely. Vietnam's manufacturing sector has been on the rise since. It has been a phenomenal growth story in Vietnam. And I think more than any other country in ASEAN, compared to Indonesia, compared to Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam is set to do that. You can see companies like VinFast leading that revolution, right? And more so in cities like Nha Trang, Da Nang, you can see these electric bikes by VinFast being adopted everywhere. You can see chargers in the malls. It just happened here in Vincom as well. So you can see chargers going everywhere. So with Vietnam's manufacturing capability and the tech infrastructure, I believe Vietnam is poised to really disrupt this market in the next 5 years. It's going to be very interesting times. Yeah.
And so kind of a follow-on question from me, do you think that that's going to be led by the private or the public sector? So, private businesses or the government, because in China is like massive government investment in charging infrastructure. You could charge your bike anywhere. Whereas like VinFast is going down the private route, right? Yeah. They have shops dotted around the city where you can go in, you can take out your battery of your bike, and replace it with a fully charged one.
Right. Then the answer is always collaboration. It's got to be, no one sector is going to lead it. It's always going to be public and private players working together. Again, with an invent of new technology, right? And if you're going to outdate fossil fuel cars and plants, with that goal, the private players always look to favorable government policies, incentives, subsidies, right? So that's what happens. And if you see the innovation curve, the first 5 years, the first 10 years of the industry, the government plays the biggest part. It's like, and it doesn't have to be just subsidies or give me discounted goods. No, it is the bringing of know-how. VinFast's patented tech currently is making so much noise, and it has been because of that support, from the government, and being like from the malls, from public places, eventually, right, that they're going to grow to. So, and it involves upskilling of people. It involves all of those kind of things, right? So that is very important from the government sector to push private players. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. We still have a couple more questions. Do you think that Vietnamese consumers are willing to adopt electric vehicles now with the current economic makeup of the country? Because most people maybe can't afford an electric vehicle like the VinFast.
Yeah. And this is where we come back to the biggest question: is how can you afford an electric vehicle? I think fundamentally here is people are convinced on electric vehicles, right? This is a new technology. People want to be sustainable, but there is a financial barrier to it. So yes, I want to drive an electric vehicle, but I can't afford it. The affordability part of it can be changed. That is innovating in ownership patterns. How can you make it cheaper? And I think VinFast has now started renting vehicles, right? And VinFast has again started electric taxis. So if you see that, like if you ride a VinFast electric taxi today and you are in that car, you can see, oh, wow, this car is cool. You've never been inside and you can see, oh, wow, there's so many buttons there. This is such a smooth driving experience. And that also leads into the consumer behavior saying is, okay, my next car purchase can be a VinFast car purchase, right? So that is there. But on the bikes, specifically on the bikes, how can startups today work with banks, with fintech companies to make them affordable, to give it out on rent? How can I make it for like $40 a month, $50 a month, 1 million dong per month? So so those kind of models again would really increase the adoption.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
Thanks for that. We have another one. Since the time to fully charge an electric vehicle is lengthy, how can we influence people to change from traditional vehicles, which take much less time to refill, such as gas, compared to electric vehicles?
Great question here. Two differentiating points right here. So electric bikes and electric cars, right? Again, going back to battery size. So I just want to quickly show that picture to you guys. Just to put it in perspective, you see that electric bike, charging it is easier. I have an electric bike at home. So my electric bike, you can take out the battery. I can get it back home and I can charge it like a mobile phone. I can charge it at a cafe. I can charge it at my school. I've charged it at RMIT. I have charged it in my office. So it becomes very easy, right? But with cars, that becomes a challenge, because a car, traditionally the range is 300 to 400 kilometers, takes 8 hours to charge if I do it. But this is where the investment from public infrastructure, from the government players again comes in, is how do I install car chargers where fuel stations are right now to charge it, right? There does exist technology to, how do they call it? Supercharging in 15 minutes. So I can take my battery from 10% to 80% in 15 minutes, right? So this technology, again, is expensive, right? And would require both public and private investment to bring it into Vietnam. So potentially players like VinFast and the government would have to work it together to install these superchargers all across the city.
Thank you, Abhi.
Yeah.
I think we have a final question here.
Sure.
As you may know, most meaningful e-mobility applications require lots of capital and help from the government. So as students, what kind of sustainable e-mobility innovations can we propose that are feasible?
You're absolutely right. The students are on point. They're very, very interesting questions. I think everybody's out here to get a business model. Super interesting question. Okay, so I'm going to answer this in two parts. So as I said, is public and private sector. There's a third sector which also works together, is the consumer, right? Increasing demand. So currently, what from a consumer point of view is, how can we accelerate a zero emission future in Vietnam? Is by demanding more sustainable ways of transport. Electric taxis, electric buses, electric metros, and so on, right? So if we demand that, a private player comes in, creates a business around it, the government will step in, work together to solve this problem, correct? Now, as students currently, and I would say as in Vietnam, students are leading the electric revolution everywhere. They have more electric bikes than any other segment in the society here. So they are leading it, and which has increased the manufacturing of smaller electric bikes for students to move safely, right? So as students is one, you can always raise awareness for it, promote it within your family, your community, your neighborhoods. You can bring it up to your universities, your campuses. If RMIT has 15,000 students today, how will they move? Can we install a good EV cycle structure inside the campus, in your university, in your school, in your neighborhood? Can you do that? You can also write very innovative business models with this competition and propose such changes as well. So those are some ways that students can make this innovation more feasible and more adaptable.
Yeah, I think I see more VinFast bikes at RMIT than anywhere else in Saigon.
So, yeah.
Right. I have one. I have one myself. So thank you, Abby. I think that's it for the questions. Some great responses. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks again, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Dan and Mr. Abi, for the Q&A questions part. Mr. Abi has definitely provided a lot of insightful responses. Thank you. And now we will have a 15-minute break for the workshop, but hang on tight. Don't go anywhere. We will have gifts and prizes for you on our Kahoot game. So if you guys can, scan the link that you guys can see on the screen. We will have a Kahoot quiz session, and winners of this Kahoot quiz will win RMIT merchandises like bottles or an RMIT branded battery pack and umbrellas. So there will be a lot of exciting gifts. So please join this Kahoot game. All right, so on the screen, there will be the game pin. All right, everyone, we will start the game. We will start the game in 1 minute. So hurry up. It's almost time. All right, 20 seconds left. Hurry up, everyone. Last 10 seconds. Hurry up, everyone. All right, we will start the game now. First question. What does mobility refer in the context of transportation? Hurry up, everyone. The ability to fly airplanes, the movement of people and goods, the ease of driving cars, the speed of trains. The right answer is the movement of people and goods from one place to another. On to the next question. Question 2. What is the future of mobility likely to be characterized by? Come on, quick answers. And the right answer is greater emphasis on sustainable and efficient transportation. Let's see who's leading. It seems like NTKL is leading the leadership board. Question 3, which of the following is an example of sustainable mobility solution? The right answer is greater emphasis on sustainable and efficient transportation. NTKL still leads the board. How can shared mobility services impact the future of transportation? The right answer is reduced traffic congestion and greenhouse gas emissions. Question 5, how can autonomous vehicles impact the future of mobility? Come on, let me see those quick hands. The right answer is enhanced safety, efficiency, and accessibility. Oh, it seems like Mun is leading the board now. Question 6. This is what does sustainability mean in the context of tourism and hospitality? You guys have to guess this. This is for next workshop sessions, but you guys have to guess this. The right answer is meeting the needs of today's tourists without compromising future generations. Question 7. Which of the following is an example of an eco-friendly initiative in the tourism and hospitality sector? The right answer is implementing recycling programs and waste reduction efforts. Damn, Min is still leading the board. Question 8. Sustainable practices in tourism and hospitality focuses on? Balancing economic, social, and environmental aspects of operations. All right. What does fintech stand for in the context of financial innovation? Again, you guys have to guess this. It's easy, guys. It should be pretty easy. The answer is financial technology. Oh, now Yan is leading the board. Question 10. How can AI contribute to financial innovation? It should be hard, but you guys can do it. The right answer is by automating repetitive tasks and improving data analysis. Question 11. What advantage does fintech offer to financial services users? Wow, 42 people got this correctly. Faster, more convenient, and user-friendly experiences. That was the last question. Now let's see who's got the prizes. Third prize is Ang. Second prize is Kang Ding. And the first prize is Yan. A big thank you to the three winners. Thank you, Ang. Thank you, Kang Ding. And especially thank you, Yan, for participating in this. And congratulations for being the winners. Please contact the organizing team at RBBC at rmit.edu.vn to receive your prizes. So contact us via email by our competition's email for the prizes. Thank you very much. Alrighty, so on to our second workshop of the day, Innovating Sustainability in Tourism and Hospitality by Ms. Tanle. So Ms. Tanle is a hospitality professional with a master's degree in hospitality management. She is also the founder and director of Home Dom Sun Hospitality Company, specializing in tourism and events, and provides consultancy to startup restaurant businesses in Ho Chi Minh City while conducting training for local hotel brands. She is also an associate lecturer at RMIT Vietnam. Her keynote address today will inspire and equip the audience with actionable insights and strategies to create a positive change within the tourism industry, paving the way for a more sustainable and inclusive future. Without further ado, allow us to introduce Ms. Tanle onto the spotlight to give your presentation.
Thank you so much, Dũng, for your introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank RMIT School and Dr. Daisy from Tourism and Hospitality Management Faculty who invited me today to share my experience and perspective on innovating sustainability in tourism and hospitality. All right, so just a brief information about myself and my company. My company name in Vietnam is Hồng Dom Sun, which is in English is Green Sunrise Travel. And my company is established since 2013, and until now it's 10 years. And specifically before that, I have been like 8 years working and studying in Switzerland, in Europe, and 2 years in US. And since I come back in Vietnam, I have dreamed to open my own company. And once I come back to Vietnam, so I open up my own company in specializing in travel, but focusing in sustainability. So I've been through 10 years, a lot from traditional tourism company to digital company in tourism industry as well, and have been through a lot since the normal and the pandemic, and now it's the post-pandemic, which means we are resilient again from the tourism. So today I will share my perspective in how can the tourism companies still survive and switch our company products to the new technology era. All right. So as you can see, tourism, even though during the pandemic, we have a lot of restriction from travel, but the needs of traveling is there. So after the restriction is banned down, so everyone goes travel again. And this is from the database of the Ministry in Tourism Vietnam. And you can see here, since until now in 2023, we have more than 6 million international tourists visit Vietnam, and 60 million the local tourists or domestic tourists visiting and go spend their holiday throughout Vietnam. And with that, you can see the income, which is the money we earn from the tourism industry, is a lot. As you can see here, right, it's more than 343,000 billion, which means the money we earn from the tourism industry is a lot. So the benefit from, especially if you are the Generation Z, you can see that Blackpink just visit us, right? And within 2 days of their concert in Vietnam, in Hanoi Tourism Ministry, we earned like 600 billion VND from just 2 days of their concert. So you can see the money we earn from tourism industry is a lot, right? So the benefit in tourism development of Vietnam economy is fast, the fastest way for every developing country, all right? So especially Vietnam country, Vietnam government right now, they would like to let the tourism industry become our spearheads in economic sectors, so because of the fast way of earning money, all right? But in able to do this, we have to find the way to make our industry, our business sustainably, which means we have to grow sustainably with not only in this moment, but in the future as well. So, and also, you know, we are as the tourism industry, so we attract the tourists because of our beautiful landscape with our beautiful destination. So we have to preserve our environmental resources so that we can still provide to the tourists a very beautiful landscape so that they can still visit us. And once they visit our destination with a beautiful destination, we can earn the money from them. All right. So the sustainability, as you can see, we talk a lot from since the beginning of the workshop until now, is meaning the priority of the sustainability is to protect the environment, and to be able to protect the environment long term, which means years to years, we have to also bring the benefit for the local community, every stakeholder which are living and work on the destination. So we have to bring the benefit to the environment, society, and economic as well. So for the best way to be able to approach the tourists around the world, still bring the benefit or preserve the environment, it means, and also we have to save the money for the business as well, because I own my business as well in tourism. So I love to digitalize my company. Why? Because it's the best way that I can approach my tourists, my customer around the world with a very low cost and fast way. So the best way is to digital transformation. So why I'm saying I love to do this, and this is the benefit for the Vietnam tourism industry. So you can see the digital transformation is bring us an innovative way for destination marketing. And also, as you can familiar right now, is the new trends of shopping is e-shopping, right? Which make you more convenient to shop. And also, as the owner of a business, this is the very best way to database management. All right, so I will explain one by one the benefit from the digital transformation. So first thing is destination marketing. As you can see, right, we are tourism. So intangible products. Intangible products just mean you cannot see, feel, taste, or try it before you consume it, right? So before that, 10 years ago, the first time, and with the marketing material that I can approach to my overseas tourists, I just take a simply pictures and send to them. It's very, very old school way. For now, you know, for the digitalization, we can create and show them the video, the captures of our landscape with very more details, and we can show them a beautiful angle of our landscape to them, so that the people who even not there in Vietnam yet, but they can see our video that posts easily on our virtual platform, which is the YouTube, or even though our website, so that they can see and they can be encouraged to visit Vietnam after viewing those kind of video, right? So this is the first and the best and the fastest way to marketing, to introduce about the potential of Vietnam landscape and thing. You can see this is just the screenshot from the video online. Yes, and even though it's just a screenshot, but you can see because of the digital technology, so we can recording the video more effectively than just take a very simple picture as 10 years ago. So on with the websites, we can also because here in Vietnam we have so many event, and this is in tourism industry, is it the seasonal, which is we are not having a customer every day, but they visit us because of some occasion, which is the summertime break or Easter break or Christmas or something like that. So this is how we can do for the marketing, which means we introduce to the world, everyone, what is the festival and what is the occasional festival event that happened in Vietnam, so that we can use as the advantage, so to attract the people to visit us before they go. So this is where we can give them full details in information, so that the customer or the tourist, before they go, they can look up to the websites and they can be encouraged to visit the destination after viewing those of the marketing material, right? So for the Vietnam Tourism Ministry right now, we are trying, and my company also collab a lot in the project of digital transformation for Vietnam Tourism Ministry. So right now we have so many channels to contact, right? Vietnam, we have Zalo, WhatsApp, and in America, we also have Viber. So in each platform that we use to contact the tourists, they create a lot of emoji, so that it just makes fun during the communications. And it's also as the best way to gain the curiosity of the tourists about our tourist attraction. As you can see here is the projects that create the emoji via Viber platform in the purpose of attracting the international tourists from America and Europe. And the application is Viber, and you can easily see here we pick up a must see tourist attraction in Vietnam, which is Ho Chi Minh City, Da Nang, and etc. So this is a significant, which is identical. The tourists can easily know what is this emoji aim for. Like this one, you can easily understand it is for Saigon, or this is Hanoi, or etc. So if they are international tourists, they receive that kind of emoji, they will be curious so to visit this destination in the future time. All right. And also the very best way, especially we use that a lot within and after the pandemic, is telepresent, which is the VR, right? As you can see right now, there's a lot of improvement in VR technology. VR is stand for virtual reality, which means telepresent, that have to give you the experience that you are remotely being somewhere, right? Without physically being there. And you can see this is a very useful way, useful tools, and telepresent experience is the useful tool for the tourism industry, because we as the intangible product, so we cannot providing a trial or something, the demo for a tourist before they have to be there in Vietnam. So in case of let them be physically in Vietnam before they decided to buy our tourism products, we give them a virtual tour. That is considering as the demo products, right? the virtual tour let them have a feeling that they are there, to being there, right? So which means we are changing from tangible products to intangible products, which is, even though intangible products, we are not physically there before they decided to visit Vietnam, but with the virtual tour, the people are having an experience to being there. And you can see right now a very specific destination in Vietnam. We also have created the virtual tour, which is, you can see here, Hue, Ha Long, Hoi An, which is a very, very famous destination in Vietnam. And by creating a 360-degree tour, thus the tourists can see the destination before they visit. So with the telepresent experience, the customer or the tourist would have been encouraged again, because we are talking about the marketing. The marketing is always encourage the people to buy the products, right? So with all of these marketing materials, all of that telepresent experience, we would like to encourage the tourists to visit our destination. And here, specific concept is Vietnam, right? So with the virtual tour, the people will having the feeling being there before they even there physically, right? And a very, very best way that I also create a lot of expo or exhibition online. And I feel that this is a new way, which is this one, we call this virtual exhibition, right? So with the virtual exhibition, or even though this one is the workshop that you are participating right now, this is low cost, which means we don't have to rent a very expensive venue to organize a event or an exhibition. We create a platform which providing also the participant the telepresent experience, right? And that we can have more opportunity to attract more tourists from overseas, because if they can stay at home and still participate in an event online, where they don't have to spend the travel costs. So which means if they don't have to spend so many money into visiting or participating in any event or exhibition, they can considering and be encouraged to visit that event. All right. So again, with this VR technology, we have more opportunity to motivate the people, to encourage more tourists and people to visit and buy our products, right? And also we have virtual team building. That is a new way to engage people in virtually, right? Continuing to the e-shopping, right? Is it very familiar with you right now, right? Which is just a simple click, then you can buy whatever on the e-commerce platform, and that ship or deliver directly to your door, right? So same with the tourism industry as well. And especially for the Vietnam, this is the very big achievement for Vietnam tourism industry, which is we also create our Viet card, which is cashless payment, right? We just simply use that without any cash or without any like considering as a contactless payment, right? And that is very convenient way for the tourists. Once they just simply deposit their money into this card, and they can use everywhere in the tourist attractions, and also some partnership in F&B or accommodation. That is more safe, because they don't have to carry much money on them. And that is also help the government to control the tax payment from the entrepreneur. All right. And also this is cashless is also very convenient way as well. For now, you can see my company also accepted Apple payment, right? If you use Apple iPhone or something like that, it's a very new app, which is Apple payment, right? So I use that for some of my tourist payment, and I see that it's quick and it's directly go to our company bank account, which is just simple, just 30 seconds, that everything, the money from overseas wire directly to my bank account in Vietnam. So that is very convenient way, right? Another way is Vietnam travel apps, which is within that way, which is security and a trip management. That is very convenient for the tourists as well, right? They can control because my market is welcome to international tourists from overseas. So my international tourists, normally they will spend 2 weeks. It's at least 2 weeks in Vietnam. So with 2 weeks, the itinerary every day, the activity every day is a lot within 2 weeks or a month. So with this app, they can manage their trip. They can understand and foresee what's gonna happen in the day before they even participate in a trip, right? And within this app, they can like control and their payments, e-wallet and something as well. Okay. And convenience, right? Because you can see this is very convenient for cashless payments, everything with an app. They don't have to carry much with them. They just simply use their smartphone and they can pay. They can see the trip itinerary. Even they can get the audio tour guide with their smartphone, because for now, the museum and some of the tourist attraction, we also get the tourist audio, like a safe guide, right? Safe tour guide. So they just simply scan the QR code and they can hear the history or the storytelling via their smartphone. All right. And the convenience way as well. Okay. So I speak a lot of fast. So with the convenience, right? So you can see now with the electrical visa, right, for the international tourists. And also, if you are not familiar with the e-visa for Vietnamese, for the foreigner who visit Vietnam, you can easily see that for now, you can submit and have the passport online within one click, right? And 7 days later, the government will deliver the passport to your home, right? It is a very easy way, convenient. And also right now, it's just very new, which is the automatically immigration process in the airport, right? Simply scan. That is, you don't have to queue, get in the very long line to get through the custom in Vietnam, right? So now you just do it yourself. It's also with the app, which is the travel app of Vietnam. You can buy the ticket before you go, and simply once you visit the tourist attraction, scan the QR code, then you can check in. You don't need to carry so much money or spending your time to waiting in the line to buy a ticket. Just simply buy it at home, and when you visit, scan the QR code and you self-check-in yourself, right? Also with the Vietnam Airlines as well, you can also get the boarding pass before you be at the airport. Okay, so under the perspective of a entrepreneur, right? Because I'm on the company in tourism, so I find myself is very convenient and useful for like using all of the digitalization for my company, right? Because I'm not simply a travel agency, but my company is a tour organizer. So with the tour organizer, I have to work with a lot of suppliers in accommodation, in transportation, in air ticket, train, tourist attraction ticket, and also F&B partnership as well. So you can see with just one tour, I have a lot of suppliers, right? And before I have a lot of paperwork, and the administrative way is making long and complicated. For now, with my application, it's very easy. It's just a link and everything database is saved with the cloud platform. So I don't have to be physically at my company. I can travel, so whatever, and with my laptop or with just a simple link, I can access to my database management, and I can control with the suppliers, with every contract management, with the payment, with the sales commerce in the e-commerce platform where I can sell my ticket in Traveloka or Booking.com, etc. And also I can get and control my tour guides, which is play a very important roles to because the tour guides will go along with my tour groups, mostly more than any other member in our company. So the tour guide is considering as a representative of my company. So I have to control the tour guide profiles and the contract management strictly so that I can ensure the quality of my tour. So with the digitalization, I can control that easily, just a simple click wherever I go. I don't have to be physically at my company. All right. And also very, very useful as well is according to a history database, I can manage what's the customer or the tourist like. So I can create timely products and personalize the product to fit with my tourist needs. So that's once I provided the tourism products to my tourists, they will simply meet all the needs and they love so whatever I provided to them. Okay. So with the database management, I will talk more about that, right? So how can I, because you know, the tourism industry is the service business. Okay. So the service business, and because it's intangible products, so we have to engage more closely with a tourist. All right. So with the database management, I can create again personalize the products to meet all the needs of a tourist. Every tourist have different needs, and when they combine together as the tour group, I have to brainstorm and provide, even though just one group, but 100 tourists. I have to make everyone in my tour group happy with the service. So how can I do this? A lot before, the traditional way is hard and difficult for me to analyze or synthesize the data. Now it's just a simple click by using the customer relationship management, or we can say in short is CRM, and AI is artificial intelligence, which is with that I can collect the feedback and with the history, what they like, how or with the CRM and AI, I can create the close persona, or which is the profile of the customer, so that I can know directly what they like. So I provided to them the service that make them 100% happy with my service. All right. And another thing that is cost me a lot of money to invest and create a chatbot, right? But I feel that it's worth it for my company because, you know, my company is based in Vietnam and in Ho Chi Minh City. So I have the tourists not only in Ho Chi Minh City, but also everywhere in Vietnam and everywhere around the world. So especially for people who live overseas, which is different time zone, right? So with the different time zone, and once we are in Vietnam, this is the nighttime. So most of my staff member is going to sleep, and this is the morning time in overseas. So with a chatbot, I can simply create a first contact with my tourists overseas. So if my tourists overseas, they want to contact us, they can contact with the chatbot with a set answering. So with the first communicate with chatbot, later on in the next morning, once my staff is awake, so they can receive all of the history messages from the tourists, which communicate with my chatbot the day before, so we can save time and creating the product and give the tourists the answer immediately and quickly, so that we can have more opportunity to sell the product to the tourists overseas. All right. So here, back again with the sustainable, right? So with the sustainability, because the sustainability, and right now we are focusing the digitalization or digital transformation. So this digital transformation or everything related to sustainability is the priority is to protect the environment and of course to bring the benefit to the society, which is the local communities and also the economic sector of the destination where we run the business as well. So with the sustainable tourism, the priority again is environmental protection. So if we as the company, as myself, why I choose sustainability is the special product or a niche market for my company is because that make ourselves different. And right now, especially after the pandemic, people are gaining more awareness to protect the environment. So if I can do something sustainably, I can get the competition advantage that I can show to the markets that we as the company, we are sustainability. So if you are environmental awareness, if you are the environmental protector, you should better or you prefer choose us. So simply if the people who love to travel, but travel responsibly, they will prefer choose some products that's sustainable more than just a mass tourism. So again, with the sustainability in tourism development, that can create a competitive advantage in the market. So we use that to gain more profit, to approach more tourists and becoming a better marketing way so that we can attract more tourists to our business. All right. So this is my sharing about the experience in sustainability and digital transformation in tourism industry. So thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tanle, for your highly insightful session. Let's move on to the Q&A session, which will be facilitated by Dr. Daisy, Lecturer of Tourism and Hospitality Management, RMIT, Vietnam. So may Dr. Daisy kickstart the Q&A session.
Thank you so much, everybody, for today, for attending our session. We had an amazing guest speaker, Ms. Julie. She really brought in excellent, insightful. Before we go to the Q&A session, could you give me a minute or so to introduce our wonderful program? Our program is called Thank you. So our program is called Bachelor of Tourism and Hospitality Management, and we teach varieties of programs. And this part of innovation, sustainability is also a part of our course. And Ms. Julie is one of our industry partner and as well our lecturer herself. So what does our course do? Could we move on, please? We teach students to get equipped, ready, and our lifelong skills that we earn is actually really industry practical to base tourism, hospitality, and management. And we actually do quite a number of global outlook. We give students every opportunity that we can to meet with more industry people and to gain real critical skills and opportunity. We are also the first in Vietnam, we're proud to say, to get accredited for the Institute of Tourism and Hospitality, which is based in UK. We are also from the PATA chapter. We're the first to get the PATA chapter for higher learning institution. And on top of that, last year, we were in the top 100 for the best tourism program in the world. So that's a quick about our program. And of course, we would love to now move on to the questionnaire. And also, the best part is for those tourism and tourism finalists under the category, you have two wonderful sponsors who's going to give you great gifts as well. So hopefully that will motivate you to send in more proposals. We have Sofitel and also Fusion Saigon ready to give you some wonderful gift as soon as you reach as our finalists. So now let's bring in Miss Julie. We have wonderful questions waiting for you. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Daisy.
So let's go on to the first question. What are your thoughts about the potential AR and VR technology in creating remote and visual experience for customer? Is it still ample demand, or especially now that we have came to an end of this pandemic?
Okay, thank you for your questions. So about the potential of using VR or AR in tourism industry, again, I already mentioned, so it means the VR and AR is very, very potential. You know, it's like we use the VR and AR to try to give the tourists the experience of being there before they even physically there. But you know, that is a very good one if we can let the people to have the telepresent experience like this, right? Before, and we can encourage the people to buy the products, or here is visit the destination, right? But here is not every company in tourism industry, especially in Vietnam, that can apply the VR yet, or more specific is they cannot afford one yet because that costs a fortune to create a VR or AR. But anyway, if that every company in tourism industry right now, we realize the potential of it. So we try to save money to create our own ones in the future. So which means that's very potential. All right. Thank you so much.
Excellent. That is very true. AR and VR is here to stay. And
Yeah.
next question, Ms. Julie. What are your thoughts about online platform for preserving culture tourism services for both inbound and foreign tourists?
Online platform to preserve the culture.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with the online platform, that is a very convenient way to educate the people. You know, here in tourism industry, we're not only a simple industry or the business, but we also educate every stakeholder related to everything on the destination. So, for example, if the people who in this destination would like to attract the tourists, they have to be educated and be qualified to serve the tourists. So, and in return, the tourists, once they visit the destination, they have to be educated to respect the custom, the tradition, and the culture. So who is the one to do this? Is the stakeholder, is the service provider as the tourism company. So before the 10 years ago or before that, this is we have to wait until the tourists to visit Vietnam so that we can educate them during the interpretation with our tour guide, right? Our tour guide will interpret and tell a story for the tourists during the trip so that the tourists will be educated during that trip, which means they have to be on the destination. For now, we can switch to online, which is we use every online material. We video the material, even though I have some of my tour guide, the local tour guide, they recording their daily life in Sabah and in Mekong Delta as well. So with that, they we post and send to the tourists in overseas. So they use online platform and they be educated by the culture before they even being in the destination. So they can see and understand the daily life and thing. So that is very convenient way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. It's always nice to learn something and see how people live before you come and experience. The third question, what are the factors that you think can make virtual tour match with the traditional means of tourism? Can games or any other similar types of media replicate the experience?
What is the question again?
What are the factors that you think that can make virtual tour match with the traditional means of tourism? Is it games or any other experience that can help to replicate the traditional feeling?
So how can the VR match with the traditional tour? Is it correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Actually, with the VR, we we don't even, for my perspective and most of my colleagues in the industry, we use VR by giving the first trial for a tourist, right? So it's just considering as the marketing material, we just view the destination and we encourage them to physically visit our destination. So the VR, which means that showing the very first, like the first impressions, like the first view of the destination. Of course, if they would like to experience the destination in full, so they are being encouraged to visit the destination. So to match with, I think sometimes VR is just like we trying to create some event or exhibition online or telepresent to reduce the cost. Yes, but if for the tourism, for the destination marketing, we still encourage the people to visit, right, rather than online.
Yes, yes. It just increase the intention to travel, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yes. Excellent. The fourth question to you, if we make an innovation, not in the whole operation system of hotels, but just a part of them, for example, food management, do you think, is this a kind of innovation still considered impactful in hospitality industry, or does it belong to any other industry?
I think hospitality is a broadened sectors. So if you just in the hotels, hotels and also in tourism industry, we combine a lot of service and industry, including food and beverage as well. So if you get the innovative ideas or development in any one of the sectors, that can be considering just in my point of view, that's considering as the innovative development in the industry, yes, and we can use that as the advantage to develop the industry as well.
Excellent, which is true. Our industry is so huge, right?
Yes.
The fifth one, when we shift our payment and check in digitally through apps, they wonder whether it will be too many apps for a consumer to operate in the phone, and how do we overcome the issue of compatibility between apps?
All right. So, so right now the travel app of Vietnam government is still under the developing, but yes, if I experience in Singapore and I already experienced the Vietnam travel app as well. So it doesn't have to download so many apps. So you just simply download as the tourist, you just simply download the Vietnam travel, which is the application, and you can add your ID, your everything in that, especially the thẻ Việt, which is the Viet card, where you can deposit and you can control everything, the money in that, and you don't have to download so many apps in it. So this is the application where you can manage your trip. Yes. And also as the company, I use that Vietnam travel app to under the account of the business as well. There's two accounts, the tourist account and the business account. So with the business account, I can amend everything with the contract, and I can report the database to the Ministry of Vietnam. So it is very easy. Yeah.
Wow, that's so amazing. Hopefully the app gets picked up bigger and bigger, because that will make our life so much easier in tourism industry.
Yes.
And the sixth question, in Vietnam, what do you think is the role of local communities in the deployment of digital technology innovation, and how can we engage them better?
The roles of the local communities, right? So I think the local community play the most important one, right? Because they are the one who live there, and we are the tourists we visit to learn, so whatever in that, right? So the local communities, they contribute the insights, which is everything is the most valuable, right? So I think for the deployment of the innovation or something, the local community play a crucial role. Yeah.
Yes, excellent. And the final question, can you give some of your current projects that you find interesting, which is ongoing in Vietnam?
Related to digital or sustainable?
Innovation.
Innovation. All right. For the innovation, I am trying to do some before and currently, right? I'm doing a project for Mekong Delta, right? Community-based project, the tour, right? So for the digital, we're trying to put the products and everything on virtual platform, so that everything can connect virtually. That is the project, but it's a long project and need a lot of initiative to involving in with the policy, with the investment in money and thing. But Mekong Delta Community Base is the currently project that I collab with the ministry to get everything virtually. Not only the tourism, but also I can have them sell their own products at the specialties and to export the specialties to overseas as well. Yeah.
Yes. Oh God, that is so exciting. Thank you so much, Julie, today for sharing your insight. We are also excited. So I hope by this presentation from Miss Julie today, you are all encouraged to join under our category, which is innovating for sustainable tourism. We have lots to offer, and we hope to see your proposal come in. Thank you so much, Julie. Any final advice for our participants?
I think because just one advice, because here is RMIT and Tourism Hospitality Management. I believe that RMIT University in Vietnam is the pioneers in sustainability in Vietnam. So I very proud of Tourism and Hospitality Management team, where have a lot of subjects and courses in sustainability related to the industry. So yes, I love RMIT. So I hope that you loved RMIT, especially Tourism and Hospitality Management as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Julie.
Thank you to both Ms. Tan Le and Dr. Daisy for facilitating the informative Q&A session. And lastly, may I introduce to you the speaker for the workshop session, Financial Innovation Through FinTech, Blockchain, and AI. Finance has been the cornerstone of our lives for centuries. Money and financial markets have existed in one form or another, from trading grain, livestock, to trading physical assets and currencies, to now trading digital currencies and digital assets. The need for adopting technological advancements to the financial markets is ever increasing. The need for fintech is on the rise. Our third and final guest speaker of the day, Mr. Hugh Dinh, is a professional entrepreneur with experience spanning consumer goods, finance, technology, and now climate change in Vietnam and Asia. He is currently the co-founder and CEO of NeoA.io, a technology company developing solutions for enterprise and financial markets to combat climate change. He is also a proud RMIT alumni. In this session, Mr. Hugh Dinh will provide you with insights into the industry, trends, as well as examples of blockchain and AI applications in the fintech field to help everyone get a better understanding and hopefully to provide competition participants with useful resources. Please give a huge round of applause and welcome Mr. Hugh Dinh, CEO and co-founder of NeoA.io, onto the spotlight to deliver your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Dung, and it's my pleasure today to be back at RMIT, where I about 10 years ago studying here. So so today the topic of my presentation will be on financial innovation through fintech, right? And blockchain and AI. You probably this session, this last one, but I believe that you hear a lot of buzzword as well as probably new concepts that you haven't heard anywhere. probably here in this session, right? So, I will go straight into the definition of fintech, right? Because I think before we address the topic, we should have a definition of it, right? So fintech, by the shortest definition by Oxford, is the kind of computer program or other technology that is used for banking and financial services, right? But there are a lot of kind of fintechs out there, right? I mean, it can be either a program to help you to do online banking, a computer program to help you to do research, or a computer program that help you to pick the right investment into the right company that are supporting social and sustainable causes, right? There are a lot out there, but fintech is not new. Although the term is somewhat newly coined, I mean, actual nature of fintech is not new, right? I mean, financial service industry has been innovating for centuries, right? The probably the earliest version of innovation in financial history, it happened thousands of years ago when people start to buy things on credit instead of buying and paying money or paying currency immediately. And in the 20th century, there were a lot of innovations as well, where the first credit card was introduced. Then people, because of those innovations in money transfer, people can actually, I mean, send money over the wire instead of, I mean, having to send bill notes. And then comes the ATM, and then since 2008, a lot of innovation within the financial industry happened that justified the coining of the name fintech, right? So for the purpose of today's session, I'm focused on innovations that have been happening in the last decade or 15 years after the global financial crisis in 2008, 2007, right? Please note that. All right. So in the past 10 or 15 years, I mean, there has been a few segments in fintech that happened, right? In Vietnam, probably you have heard a lot of payment service. I mean, fintech company, right? Momo, Zalo, Viettel Pay, so on and so forth. But over the world, I mean, fintech has a lot more category. So if you look into this chart, which shows you the funding amount for fintech in different categories, you can see that the top category is payments, but also you have crypto and DeFi, you have financial management, you have wealth management, you have mortgage lending, insurance tech, regulation technology, so on and so forth, right? And some of them are more popular and more international, as in the green bar indicates. So they operate in more countries than one. Some of them are more local. So let's say they are more like, I mean, the companies in this sector tend to be in one country more regularly. Let's say mortgage and lending, right? But overall, what you can see from this graph is that, I mean, there are a lot of categories, and many of those companies in those categories operate internationally. Right. I'm talking about the 6 mega trends that have been shaping the financial service industry, as well as, I mean, provide some kind of reason for the existence of some fintech firms, right? So these 6 mega trends in the past 10 years have been shaping not just the industry, but they also, I mean, give birth to a lot of kind of fintechs. So the first one is definitely the thing that we have been talking a lot about in the last 10 years: data connectivity, and therefore enabling AI for mass sterilization. On the chart you're looking at is the number, the volume of data generated annually, right? And that is in the zettabyte, which is very, very large. You look into the left hand corner under, you can see that 1 zettabyte is like a lot of zeros, right? Compared to a gigabyte, which you are more familiar. But that number has been increased exponentially as well, because more people are using a lot more device. Also, we have a lot more sensors out there for IoT purpose. Also, people are creating a lot more contents as well. I mean, you look at contents you create everywhere, right? On social media, by going on a metro station, so on, right? So this boom in data give the foundation for training AI which is artificial intelligence, and then it in turn, I mean, give birth to a lot of application. The second trend is the birth and the boom of blockchain, right? As a technology, it has a lot of promises, and people have figured out and try, or at least try to figure out a lot of ways to apply blockchain in different use case. Some of that was successful, some were unsuccessful, right? But nonetheless, people have, I mean, nobody can deny the fact that blockchain has gained a lot of popularity, and the push to innovate with blockchain has also shaped the financial service. The third trend was the emergence of ecosystem, and also the entrance of the different ways of large corporation entering fintech. So by large corporation, it can mean a couple of ways, right? It can mean non-financial firms entering fintech, as in this example of social media companies like Meta, like Apple, they try to enter fintech. They could be the examples of traditional financial institutions who try to, I don't know, turn themselves into a technology firm, right? And it could be other things as well, right? So, but definitely this trend has changed a lot of things. The fourth one, and in this category, actually, there is a very good example recently. If you notice, is that, I mean, Apple Pay came to Vietnam, right? Now you can basically use your phone to pay for everything, which is probably unimaginable just 10 years ago, when it was 10 years ago, right? When you were very young, and I was also very young. But that was a big change. The fourth trend actually has been the change in demographics. You have millennials, meaning those who born, I mean, between the late 1980s and the early 1990s, right? They emerge, they come into the financial system, and they become they start to work, they start to have, I mean, savings, and they become critical to the financial system. But also on the other hand, there is a trend of, I mean, Gen X people, those who are right now already in their 40s and 50s, right? They are projected to fade slower, meaning that they tend to live longer, and they tend to continue to be a critical, I mean, segment for banks and for financial institutions to serve, right? So the emergence of these two groups of customer with starkly different behaviors actually, I mean, driving a lot of banks, a lot of financial institutions, as well as fintech, to come to the rescue, to come to serve them and cater to those needs by those categories. The fifth sense, the fifth segments and the fifth trend has been the externalization of services, right? In many countries, there has been a push for, I mean, bank to no longer hold so much, I mean, monopoly over their services. Therefore, a lot of banks are opening the platforms, the customer segments for a lot of external services, right? There's some has been calling this open banking also, but I mean, there are a lot more than that. And the acceptance of bank to work with external service provider has actually created an opportunity for a lot of fintech to emerge. And we may come to that later. And the sixth trend, which I believe is one of the most remarkable one in the last 10 years, is ethical investing or ethical finance, right? Or you can also hear the term ESG finance, right? So you look into the chart here, we are showing the value of bond, which is basically a kind of debt issuance over the last 10 years that are linked to that require the borrower to somewhat, I mean, serve either the environmental costs or social costs or governance costs, right? But also that is the same thing in the equity investing scene as well. But I'm taking the example here in terms of the debt market, right? If you look into 2013, there were only about $50 billion issuance of bond in the ESG category. But as of 2021, that was actually 1,700 billion US dollar in this category. That is a hoping amount of increase, right? There was a short decline in 2022 when interest rate was raised, right? But as of this year, all projections are pointing to another record year for this category, right? So what does it mean? It means that now companies are being able to borrow or to raise funding on more on the capability in terms to serve, I mean, social causes. Of course, they still need to make profit, right? But it's not just those who make only profit, but destroy the environment, it destroy the society, destroy, I mean, its employees, right? When we have to face higher funding interest, right? While those who are capable of, I mean, balancing business interests and those that of the community at large, I mean, will be rewarded with better interest rate, and that has been driving this force, and that actually gave room also a lot of, I mean, fintech company in Europe, in the US. Right. Fintech actually have made a lot of promises and they deliver on something, right? On the left hand side, you can see that, I mean, a lot of the pace of innovation have increased because of the arrival of fintechs, and also some of those fintechs actually have reshaped the customer expectation, right? Setting the new rules and higher bar for experience. That those are very good things, right? And we cannot not deny that. But on the other hand, as well, there are areas where the promises by fintech were fallen short. In the case of one, I mean, they have not gained a lot of market share, right? I mean, despite all this improved experience, I mean, a lot of people still stick with, I mean, established player in the financial service sector. Not because they don't like the fintech firm, but also because some of the financial service, traditional financial service firm also innovated and they managed to keep the market share. And also, the second piece is that the fintech, with all the improvement in terms of user experience, I mean, have not been able to create a lot of new infrastructure and establish new financial ecosystem. So these are not my remarks. Those are actually made by Deloitte and the World Economic Forum in 2022. And actually, but to my experience, it seems true. It seems very true, right? So before we go further, I've been talking you through some of the concepts that you need to know, probably need to know in order to go to further, I mean, a case study or stories better, right? So I'm trying to provide some stories about successful or outstanding, I mean, stories about fintech. But before that, we need to know some terms, right? The first term that is very much associated with blockchain is tokenization, right? Basically, I mean, you have an asset, you turn those assets into a token, which is a representation of the value of that asset, right? And then you can bring that onto blockchain for the purpose of trading, right? But also, I mean, to reconcile the trading of the asset on the digital, I mean, sphere, you need to have somebody who ensure that the real world asset is still there. Then comes the custodian, right? And then, I mean, this is the area where blockchain has been doing in some way good, and sometimes they are still struggling as well. But this is the nature you need to understand. The second piece is about credit scoring, right? Credit scoring basically is the process to ensure that a person or the company meeting the criteria for borrowing money, right? So in the past, credit scoring is mostly about whether the person have the financial capability to return the money. But as I said before, with the emergence of ESG finance, now they also the lender, they also consider whether the borrower has the capability to borrow and then do something good with those money outside from their financial, I mean, and business interest, right? So in the past, I mean, the credit scoring is mostly about getting customer data, analyzing the data, compare that with the historical data, present that, I mean, getting the approval and getting into contract and then manage the portfolio risk. This is the classic, I mean, process for credit scoring. And we discussed a bit about how this process has been or will or might be altered in order to serve other purposes and trends of the world, right? So I talk about some of the examples, right? I mean, how some of the good examples of fintech out there in the last 10 years. I think one of the most prominent category of blockchain application, and that have been happening globally, is a stablecoin, right? Basically, I mean, it's the tokenization of, I mean, a real dollar bill or real, I mean, currency bills. I mean, so that it can be traded over the world, right? And why it is needed? Why this innovation needed? Because, I mean, international transaction and money transferring, I mean, are still facing the problem of reliability, meaning that sometimes you make a transfer and it's not successful, right? So blockchain with all this security function, with this distributed ledger, has been promising to solve this problem, and that's why people pour money into tokenization and have this stablecoin, right? And you can look into the second column. You can see that stablecoin has been increased a lot in terms of value, right? It shows the level of interest the world has to it. Yet, this category also suffer problems, right? If you read the news, if you watch TV, probably you have heard of cases of Luna, which is promised to be a stablecoin, what they call algorithmic stablecoin, but basically failed, right? And it turned out that the founder of the firm is now, I mean, under arrest for being a fraud. There are other cases where the people say that, oh, they have a custody, they are holding the money, right? And then each token issued is actually a representation of a real dollar bill, but in reality, they didn't have any money. So basically, they made up the whole story about the whole money, right? And that creates certain kind of problem as well, right? So that damaged to a certain extent the reputation of stablecoin. What is needed in this category moving forward? So that, I mean, the hype, I mean, or the interest of the world is met with actual, I mean, innovation and services, is could be more regulation, but also could be the involvement of more established player, right? So PayPal, which is globally known for its financial service and innovation company back in the 2000, now I think last month they declared that they're gonna join the space, and they're gonna issue their own stable coin, right? With that, I mean, that is gonna create and restore a lot of confidence in the sector, but we have to see, I mean, how things are gonna move forward. So bringing things closer to home, right? I mean, we talk about global. Let's talk about something more Asia, right? So in Asia, there were a lot of examples of fintech as well, but I think that probably the most remarkable story has been about in Asia in overall, aside from all those, I mean, Alipay and so on, you have been hearing on the news, is the story of Ping An, right? So Ping An, it was an insurance company in China, right? They started out in insurance, and then they became a group of insurance and banking sector. But what has been remarkable is that in the last 10 years, they transformed themselves from a traditional financial institution into a tech company that, I mean, have been helping them to deliver great success. So if you look into the left-hand side, what they have been solving the problem is that, I mean, customers, I mean, across segments, they still care about fraud, right? They still care a lot about customization. They care about cost, right? And if you understand the market in that Ping An has been operating in, which is China, right? There are billions of people there, 1.4 something billion people there, right? And it's always very complex to operate with a lot of customers like that. I mean, if you have to do things manually. So Ping An decided to embark on this journey, I mean, and transform themselves into a firm that leverage data, leverage digital platform. They launched a lot of platforms in different category. I mean, online insurance, I mean, app, healthcare app, real estate app, and so on and so forth, right? And by doing so, they have been able to build, I mean, build up a lot of data and then training and applying AI into different purposes, right? So those different purposes coming all the way from the AI being able to offer to customer the ability to claim the insurance if they have an accident just by a picture or a photo of the car, right? And then instantly, I mean, that AI reads and say, okay, this is the amount you are, I mean, allowed to get compensated for. But also that comes into, I mean, pricing insurance in a better way. So that is fit into the consumer profile, right? Because they have all the data from the consumer, from which car they own, from which doctor they're going to, what kind of disease they have, right? And that being able to help them to be able to price product in a faster way, but also closer to the person's profile, right? And that actually has translated into a remarkable result. They've coming from a mid-tier, insurance company into the number one insurance company in China, but also become one of the fastest growing and also most profitable company. Among all the, insurance company, but also financial services firm, globally, which is the last chart on the right-hand side, right? If you look in there, you see that Ping An is very high in terms of return on equity, probably around something like near 15%, which is very high for financial institution. And then they have a very high goal as well, right? Which is very remarkable for a firm that large. Now talk about Vietnam, right? Vietnam has very exciting story as well. So about 10, 15 years ago, I think just right after, before and after the global financial crisis, bad debt in Vietnam has been growing crazily, right? I don't know if you care or read the news back then. You can come back and ask some of your parents, right? At the time, the whole country was, we have very high debt in the financial system. A lot of banks did not even manage to survive because they have so much bad debt, right? And because at the time, there were not a lot of data about consumer. There are not a lot of people who have, credit data or credit scoring done on them, right? And banks, when they give out money, they do not have a lot of, rationale or foundation to back up the decision, right? So bad debt score, right? So some company in the fintech space came into realize this problem and came into providing, alternative data, and also with that, credit scoring service, so that enabled banks to underwrite loans faster, but also more securely. One of the most important example is Trusting Social, which leverage telecom data in order and with that a lot of data about the user, and translate that into the credit score for consumer lending, right? And that by doing so, they enable a lot of banks, a lot of consumer credit companies out there to make better decision. And if those companies make better decision, meaning they have less debt, they're able to reduce the debt, the interest rate better, right? So that has been happening in the last 10 years, and mostly I think Trusting Social probably the most prominent name in the space for now. But I think with innovation, you can always do better, right? What I expect is that the government, and especially the Ministry of Police of Public Security, indicated recently that with the data, what they call the VNEID, right? The data on citizens, they will join into this space and also provide better credit scoring as well. With that, we can expect that we can have the banks can have better score about individuals and make better decision in providing loan, and in turn reduce the interest rate, right? Because now they will have to provision for less bad debt overall, right? So those are the prominent examples globally, regionally, and in Vietnam, right? There, of course, there are certain future. We have talked about the past. Now let's talk about the future, right? There are a couple of trends I would like to talk to you about. How those trends are gonna shape fintech. Over the next few years. So there will be three category. Tokenization continue to be a very promising category and promising use case for blockchain, right? A lot of people have been talking about tokenization of real estate, or exactly to be the tokenization of the land use rights, right? Also, there are also opportunity to tokenize bond, or which is already a very how I say digital asset already, right? Right now you can trade bond on your phone already. What about the tokenize that? Also tokenization of commodities. Of course, all of those future trends will come only if there are significant changes in the legal or regulatory framework, right? and it is up to each country or each kind of government to assess the risk, the reward of doing this, and to adopt it as they can, right? So I think the key challenge should be how to get this, through this whole regulatory, environment for blockchain overall. But still, it is a very promising thing, because if it can be done, they will increase access and reduce a lot of costs. The second category has been using AI and AI application, right, to improve, continue to improve operation efficiency, as well as improve, customer experience, right? Still, a big category of costs for financial institutions are still in terms of acquiring customer, in terms of execution, and so on. So AI application can help with a lot of that. In terms of, reducing costs, right? So there are companies out there already working on, translating, operating activities into using AI, transforming operating activities using AI. For example, in the past, people have to open, if they want to lend money to a company, right? They have to ask the company to submit, bank slip, right? And read this manually, and pick up item manually. There are already startups out there that help bankers to take a photo of the bank slip, right, and translate that into credit scoring, right? And that will help with a lot of solving, reducing the cost, but also increasing accuracy and so on. But also there are many other applications in terms of personal assistance, in terms of fraud detection, so on and so forth, that are ripe for changes in this space, which I hope that after today you explore, and you will be the innovators that deliver those innovations, right? The last category is about leveraging ESG data, and actually that is the space that me and my colleagues at NewOA are working on, right? So I talked about before is that there has been a huge trend in terms of investing in companies that are at the same time good businesses in terms of financial, but also good businesses in terms of contributing to the society and the community, right? The problem with this interest is that with a lot of money pouring into this space, there has been a lot of fraud and what they call greenwashing as well. Meaning companies, they claim to be good for the environment or the society, but they are not, right? So the next frontier of this space is about how to be able to make sure that those claims are right? And with that, basically you have to step into the credit scoring process to make sure that the data are well verified, and that the institution, they lend to the right people, right? So this actually already happening in some markets like the European Union. They have been doing it for a couple of years already. They're already very large company doing this category, but more innovations are expected in the US, in China, in Asia, like Vietnam, and hopefully you'll be the next one to contribute as well. So that is the overall presentation I have. At the request of the school, I also prepared some use case in the appendix, but I'm not going to go through them, right? I hope that you can find some food for thoughts with those appendix, as well as the information that I present today. And I look forward to seeing more innovations coming out of the students who attend this competition. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Huden, for your valuable sharing session. And I'm sure that the audience has a lot of questions for him. So may Dr. Defmally facilitate this Q&A session with Mr. Huden, please? The stage is now yours.
Thanks, Zin. And thanks, Hui, for your insightful presentation and for all the new information that you shared with our students. And I really appreciate the effort and the time you put in preparing the slides and preparing for the presentations as well. So let's start looking at the questions. So we have the first question. What do you think are some of the inefficiencies in financial markets in Vietnam? Do you want me to repeat the question again?
Yeah, I got it. So inefficiency for financial market in Vietnam, right? So I think Vietnam, actually a lot of things have changed in Vietnam in the past couple of years. You can see, digital banking everywhere. People are trying to do it. But I think there's still a lot of opportunity in terms of operation, right? As the bank get more, sophisticated, larger, and complex, right? So a lot of opportunity to improve in terms of operation, right? And that is, I think, one category that is still there are a lot of inefficiency. And probably the second category is in terms of not inefficiency, but also to ensure that you don't have a lot of rework is to reduce fraud, right? Fraud in financial system in Vietnam in general are still a big issue, right? And with fraud, you have to rework, you have to cross check a lot of things. So that is a category that efficiency is still low.
Thanks. Because being in a developing country, being in a developing market for our financial systems, there's more room for still the improvements as well. So for this next question, I think you already have provided some answers, but I would like to share it with you if you have anything else to add. So the question is, can you give us some examples of innovative products in the finance sector that you find most interesting?
I find most interesting.
Yeah.
I find most interesting. This is a very hard question, very personal one. Yeah, but I would love to see one of the category that I've been saying that we are working on is in term of ESG space, right? And in ESG investing. What I have been amazed. In the past few years working on this business is that I find that how intertwined the fight for ESG and sustainability is linked to financial system, right? And what I'm so amazed at some companies in EU, in the US have been doing in this category to make this entanglement happen, right? Because basically you cannot ask company to be more reasonable or more responsible if you don't incentivize them with finance. So with all companies doing out there in terms of ESG ratings has been and leveraging different data source and AI to do ESG rating, actually to me has been the most mind-blowing thing that I came over in the past couple of years. Yeah,
that's great. Definitely ESG is becoming more interesting, but in my personal opinion, there's another story of ESG, that's greenwashing. We need to be mindful about that as well when we're looking at the ESG practices of countries or the companies as well. Yeah, we'll move to the next question, which is about artificial intelligence. Can you give us more insights and applications into how AI is being used to detect and prevent financial fraud?
Right. So I talked about before the example of some fintech company has been using AI to transform operation in terms of lending especially for SME, right? So this is a very good example. So SME, they are large. They are not large. They are small company, but they are a lot in terms of numbers, right? There are a lot of companies like that in a number. And if in the past, it is also a segment that is hard to do because for SME, it's very easy to do fraud, right? Basically, I can ask my brother, let's say, to transfer me some money, and then I can claim that to be revenue, so that I can go use that to borrow from a bank, basically inflating my revenue, right? Or I can go into doing something because I have different bank accounts. So as a business, I can use some bank accounts, and then I can claim that healthy bank account as the key one, and then I ignore the other one, which just has a lot of problems, right? So in the past, it's all about human, manual work that like combining different bank accounts and process that and recast that as an actual P&L and cash flow in order to do determine credit history, right? But with that, there is a lot of problem of people not doing because a credit officer is not honest himself, right? Now with AI being able to taking this payslip and recasting that as a true P&L has been not costly, and second is reduce a lot of fraud. But also you can find a lot of category in fraud prevention. So Trusting Social actually is a great example of how they have been able to leverage alternate data to reduce a lot of fraud, where people claiming that I have very good income, but actually from the telco data they are not having a lot of money, right? Because based on those spending on telecom, they can somewhat, predict the income of the person and all the data, other data as well. Or they can claim that, oh, I'm a responsible person, but that person actually spent a lot of time on betting websites, right? So it's a kind of fraud that has been prevented with those data. So I think Choosing Social, for example, is a very good example of AI, but also other categories seeing a lot of application of AI as well in preventing frauds. Yeah.
Thanks, Hugh. Just another addition for that part, which you mentioned that small and medium enterprises have the tendency to make some fraudulent activities. I think the problem is lying with the regulations compared to public listed companies. The small and medium enterprises have less regulation, and it's not mandatory to do the financial reporting. So they have their own freedom. So that's why we are saying that there is some tendency, or there is a kind of a room for them to make some fraudulent activities, and that's why fraud detection is important for these type of businesses. Just a kind of a clarification for that particular part. The next question is it's about a situation where someone has fintech, blockchain, and AI application or a product that they have developed. In that situation, the student is asking, how should I sell my solution to the market? Or how should I sell this solution to the consumers or banks? It's like pitching.
Wow, this is a very executional question. Yeah, but I think it depends on which kind of which side of the bucket that you are going to, right? It will be very different if you are going through targeting consumer, right? And it's very different as the one who pay you the money is the bank, let's say, to use your infrastructure or service, right? If you go to your product, business model is to charge the bank. Probably it's a hard thing, right? Because they are a complex organization. They probably in Vietnam as well. They don't have this drive for open banking and sharing. Platform as well. So the tendency is that the bank they do not want to work with small startup. For consumer side, it's easier. But still, this is banking, so there are a lot of regulations with that. You have to research about banking regulation a bit. And also find a partner. I think the ideal way is probably to find a partner who can help you with the regulations, but also provide you the platform to grow. But nevertheless, right? I think the key thing for before we talk about go to market is about making sure that you have a great product out there solving real problems, and making sure that those problems are pains that are big enough for people to use the product. If you can deliver something like that, you can definitely get anyone, right? So despite all of the things I've talked about, there are startups in Vietnam in the past that have been able to work with banks, although they are very small startup that they're able to link with all banks, getting all financial data. The guy that was doing the app for people to note their expenses, right? That's that thing. But people need it, so the bank definitely want to work with it, right? So yeah, if you have an excellent product that solve real problems, grow route to market is a thing you need to care about. But this is a second thing. Yeah.
Thanks, you. Thanks for that excellent tips on pitching the business ideas for the industry. The next question is again related to AI and blockchain. In your view, do you think the application of AI or blockchain would be more significant in the finance sector? Can we have a product that incorporates both technologies?
Wow, this is very hard. I don't have a view, to be honest, right? Where the application is, I don't have a view. In the future, but I think in the past, what I see is that probably AI had a bit upper hand, right? In terms of, the past 10 years, people probably have found more application of AI than application of blockchain. That was, to be honest, right? But in the future, it's hard to tell. Probably they have already ran out of application of AI. Who knows? And maybe there are a lot of more application of blockchain are to be discovered, right? That's the way innovation works. So it's hard to use historical data to predict that. And I don't think there is any problem with if we can figure out a problem that may leverage both AI and blockchain, right? nobody, I mean, nobody can tell us whether that can happen. So if you find yourself to be able to do something like that, just go ahead and test with the market and grow. The sky is the limit, basically.
Indeed, I would agree with you. Something that is very difficult to predict at this moment of the market. Last question. In your view, what problems do you think are the most pressing in fintech?
What problem is the most
Pressing in fintech.
Wow. Because I work in the ESG space, I would say ESG data, right? That's why I want to zoom in into this. But that could be a lot of different things for different, I mean, regions of the world, right? I think there was a slide I was supposed to include, but we decided to take it out. Is about the regionalization of fintech and financial services, right? Different regions in the world have different, I mean, priority. I think in Asia, the priority has been a lot about, I mean, AI, because population we have a lot. We have a lot more people than in Europe, in the US, right? Things people can do in Europe with papers, we cannot because we have too many people here. So I think in this part of the world, probably this whole thing about, I mean, data, about ability to manage a lot of complexity with a lot of people is still the most pressing one. I mean, for any country in Asia, right? I mean, because we have a lot of people. So if you want to solve problem with that, I think in Asia specifically, right? Think about something that can, I mean, reduce manual work, reduce fraud, I mean, improve efficiency, right? And they probably always a thing that, I mean, pressing in Asia, in my opinion.
Thanks, Hale. Thank you very much for your sharing and for your insights as well. So that's the wrap up of our Q&A session. And I just want to mention one more thing. Whether we like it or not, we all are a part of this financial system. So it's really important for you to understand what's going on around you, because at some point, at the end of the day, there would be some repercussions of these changes into your day-to-day life as well. So that's all from me.
Thank you, Mr. Hewden, for your presentation as well as your insightful Q&A session. So now I'm sure that many in the audience has a lot of questions regarding the competition. So now I'd like to invite Dr. Defmally to answer these questions. So hi, Dr. Defmally.
Hi,
there have been a lot of questions today, but our team have collected 5 notable questions that we would love to ask you.
Sure.
So the first question is there a specific budget for our proposal? I'm afraid if there's no limit, the proposal might be unrealistic.
Okay, that's a great question. But to be honest, there is no such budget limit for the proposals that we have given. There is a reason for that. The budget will depend on your business idea or business proposal. So if you're going to prepare a budget, of course, it should be based on your budget, the business proposal. Therefore, we do not specify a specific limit for the budget in the competition. But if you're going to prepare a budget, make sure that your numbers are realistic and it's in line with the market prices. And that should be a kind of a realistic budget that you're going to prepare.
The second question is, can we utilize the existing technique or have to come up with a completely new technique?
Okay, that's a kind of a tricky question, but let me explain it in a different way. What we are looking for in the competition is an innovative application of the technology. So your business proposal should be an innovative idea, or it should be an original idea. And you can propose an innovative application of either existing technology or a new technology. So there's room for you to think about it.
Thank you. So the third question is, do we have to build a mock-up or mock model or just write a written proposal?
In the first round, you are simply required to submit your written proposal. But if you're going to be in the final round, in that case, I would say having something additional like a prototype or mock model, that would be much more useful. But in the first round, you really don't need to worry about that. You simply have to submit your written report only.
I see. So the fourth question is, in the first round, should we written a written report or a presentation slide? If we have to submit a report, do we have any word or page limit?
Okay, I think I already answered the first part of the question. In the first round, you have to submit only a written report. According to the regulations of the competition, we do not have any word limit or any page limit for the report.
I see. So just to clarify for those in the audience, it is a written report and not a presentation slide like a PowerPoint.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Got you. The fifth and final question is, are the 5 topics being evaluated the same, or are they split into 5 categories to be marked?
Okay, that's a good question. So as a team, when you're going to register for the competition, we ask you a question in which category you want to compete in. So once we submit the reports, we will collect the reports under each category, and then we evaluate the reports under each category separately. So that's how we are going to grade your reports.
Thank you, Dr. Defmally, for answering competition-related questions. And I guess this concludes our second day workshop for the RMIT Business Plan Competition 2023. Thank you to all for joining us today to be a part of this wonderful event. I am grateful to our guest speakers today, Mr. Abi, Ms. Tanle, and Mr. Huden. Thank you for working with us and for the time that you have spent and dedicated to this workshop. Thank you to the academic coordinators, Dr. Daisy, Dr. Dan, and yourself, Dr. Defmally, for helping us to facilitate the success of today's workshop. Your presence was very meaningful to us all. I'd also like to extend my appreciations to the organizers of the competition, who have also contributed to the success of today's workshop, which are RMIT, the Business School, and RMIT Vietnam FinTech Club. I would also like to thank you, our in-kind sponsors, including Binance, Sofitel, and Fusion Original. We value their continuous support to our business school and mutually beneficial industry relationships that we have with them. Students, thanks again for joining with us today. This is a competition that we do for you, and this is definitely going to be a good learning experience for your teams as well. So why not give the competition a try? If you'd like to know more about our competition, please visit our website at rbbc.rmit.edu.vn. That is rbbc.rmit.edu.vn. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye, and we're looking forward to seeing your proposals for the competition.